So the purpose will be really for us to do kind of a deep dive into you, right? So again, you're like uncomfortable with that, which is great. That's the idea. It's really intended to be like when we talk about our leadership journey. How did you get here? Who are you, and what were the defining moments for you? So with that said, I want you to um what I would love to learn, because you're one of the best real estate agents I know. You have well, you have sort of the natural skill set, the nurturing heart, the capacity, the grit, the ability to navigate a business that 85% of the people who decide they want to get into it are out of it within the first 3 years. So something about the way you operate is different. And in addition to that, not just the service part, but you're a phenomenal team player, and people love to be around you and love your energy. So there's something to that. We want to get to like the secret sauce, like what makes you tick. How does that happen? So give me kind of like the career path. Like, how did it start? When did it start? What did you do? What drives your decision every day to get up and go do the thing?
Okay, so do like post college, like what happened with my career or
Yeah, where if you go back to it, like how did you wind up here? Like what was the like are you an accidental realtor like many of the rest of us?
pretty much, yeah. I mean, my dream career and what I went to school for was to be either a journalist of some kind or a sportscaster. I have a love of sports and all things active. I was raised by a Patriots cheerleader. Sports were not just a hobby, they were kind of a religion in my house. So
Okay.
I grew up loving sports and I grew up loving talking. So it really kind of was a natural fit for me to kind of work in that world. I did interview to work as an MTV VJ.
You
That
did?
yes, it
Wow.
yeah. So it was 4,000 candidates. I made it to the final 37.
Wow.
So yeah, so there we go. So that was one of my claims to fame during college. I was a communication major, so I that was like the path I wanted to go down. And during the time that I was in college, I was working in mutual funds, and I did that for about 7 years.
What does
And
that mean, working in mutual funds? I don't even know what that means. Like, what does working in mutual funds mean?
so at my role was NSCC administrator, National Securities Clearing Corps is what that stands for. I was just basically a relationship manager that helped people's funds when they didn't transfer correctly through the stock market. I helped them place the funds correctly or fix mistakes in their trades. Large life insurance companies were my clients, like Putnam, New York Life, AIG. Those are a couple of
Okay.
the some of the clients that I serviced. That was right in college and through college. And then I had my first child, and I decided ultimately that I wanted to stay home. I was 2 weeks away from my maternity leave being over, and I just thought to myself, there's no way I can leave this baby. And so I started doing things that I could do from home. So I eventually, in 2009, became a director and trainer for a company called the Pampered Chef. And
Oh, I know them.
yeah.
You could get
So
like mixing bowls and like things like that. Yeah.
exactly. So I
And
wasn't the
it's like it was like a network marketing gig.
right, like
Yeah.
network marketing, multi-level marketing, that kind of thing. But it was like a really fair company in the way that the compensation was that you weren't like skimming off the top of people. You weren't taking a percentage of people's pay. They got what they were entitled to. So I really loved the structure of the company, and I loved the free trips. I went on a free vacation every year, sometimes more than one, and it was just a great experience working for that company. And I would do a lot of live cooking demonstrations. And as you can imagine, during COVID, I was thriving. Everyone was working from home and living at home and cooking at home. So I was doing,
Yeah, everybody became a sourdough baker, or like we were cooking more during COVID than we ever did.
yeah, yeah. So it
Yeah.
was like a really great time to be in the cooking world. Although I have no degree in any kind of master chef kind of anything. It's just I was an average Joe using people's products that made cooking easier. And it really was awesome during that time to connect with people at that level because we were all trapped at home. But Zoom and Facebook and all types of things, I was doing cooking demonstrations and parties online when people couldn't connect face to face. It was a really great way to bring people together.
Mhm.
Um, Yeah. So, and then a realtor that had worked with us to purchase our second home had always been asking me if I would do real estate. And I was like, no, I really love my job and I really love my people. But I did tell him through COVID, if I took the classes and I passed the licensing exam the first time, I'd try real estate and I would throw Pampered Chef away.
No,
And that's
so he was recruiting you from Pampered Chef. Was he a customer?
no, but he watched my videos, but he was my agent. So he helped us buy our second home. So he was my realtor. That's how we were connected on social. And he did watch my videos and he, saw how, I mean, I found the house that we moved into before it ever hit the market. I like found out somebody was getting a divorce and that the house would be hitting the market. So I hunted it down and found that property all on my own. And he was like, you'd be so good at this. So
Oh, that's awesome.
I gave it a whirl and I passed the exam the first time. And so I made good on my word. And here we are.
And you quit. That was it. You put in your resignation on the Pampered Chef. No more cookie trays and like mixers and stuff. No, that was it.
It was a gradual process. I did it
Yeah.
part for a while, but I had an 87-person sales team, and it was very difficult to support and train them while I was trying to become a realtor. So I did eventually throw the towel in fairness to them, because I wasn't the same support system that I was
Yeah,
prior.
yeah, well, like, sometimes in order to become the version of you that you want to become, a part of you in the past has to go away. You can't be all things at all times. So,
Right.
really, really interesting. So Pampered Chef to licensed realtor. Now, how many years ago was that?
April of 2021 is when the
Cool.
transition started.
So we're talking you're entering into your fifth year right now.
Wow, to think of it
Crazy,
that
right?
way. Correct. Yes.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah, you're
crazy.
about to be in your 5th year. Well, good congratulations, because you made it. Because most people are out within the first, year, and then the vast majority, 85% are out within the first 3 years. So, you made it through the gauntlet, right? You made it. Yes, exactly. Now, that said, there's something unique and special about those of us, I'm in that category, who are crazy enough, who have the skill and grit and grind to make it through those first 3 years. They're really tough, right? Because in the beginning, you don't know what you don't know. You really function from this place of, total incompetence about everything. And you have to learn really fast in order to do enough business to live. So, talk to me about getting started. What did that look like?
So I was very lucky and blessed to join a team when I started. So I was able to learn a lot from that team environment. It was like a little family, and we had everyone supporting everyone. I did an open house, and right away I was given an opportunity to get clients right out of the gate with that team. So I was able to meet new buyers and get people under agreement. But right away I was like, how do I do these contracts? But with Keller Williams, we have such great training, and we had a contracts class, and the people in the office, my first office, it was just really good support to be able to have people to lean on to help you through that process. But post COVID, if everybody remembers, it was like the Hunger Games. May the odds be ever in your favor out there. It was crazy. So, you'd be waiting in lines where you had to have appointment only open houses, and one way in the house and one way out, because you had to wear a mask and gloves. And it was just kind of a really hard time to be a realtor. But I really do believe it was such a blessed time to become an agent, because I was thrust
Yeah.
into a very busy market where I had all this opportunity to learn, and I had a very experienced team to learn from. So it was a great experience, but it was a fast and furious sink or swim environment, which for someone like me, go 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 is what's up. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I loved that pace that I had to learn at.
Because I know you, I know that you've always been like that. You have a couple of really cool parts of your history too before you got into real estate that I think are neat. One of them is you were valedictorian of your high school class, right?
So I graduated third.
Third. Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty, I mean, still, like, that's got to be like decimal points difference, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would think that I don't know. I think I got two B's in my high school career, and they were both in
Okay.
advanced placement classes.
Okay. Awesome. So
That's great.
you've really though always been kind of a high achiever, because you also competed you were a basketball player, and you guys competed at a really, really high level, right?
Mhm. Yeah, for a little teeny tiny school that was Division 4, and we played all Division 2 and 3 teams. We did win the state championship my senior year in high school. I will say this, I was great at defense. I was not the girl scoring all the points. I learned a lot from being on the winning team. I was
Yeah,
definitely not one of the stars on the team, but I got to play with the stars, and I learned a lot from that kind of an environment. Like, you being around the best, which is why I'm on this team. It's something to be said for being
yeah,
around the best. And it does make you play up to a level where you might not challenge your own self to play up to. So that
right.
experience playing on that basketball team has definitely shaped me. And it definitely gave me higher standards to live up to when it came to a lot of things in life. But yeah, that was a great year to win the state championship at Boston Garden. Yeah.
There's something so really cool about that. Like I call it like the winning locker room experience. Like when you're in that winning locker room and you're around the people that are achieving at a high level, God, it really does stimulate something inside of you around your own ability to perform and your own desire to perform and all of that. And I find it so interesting. Like to me, it's such a core component of um what makes a winning team is the experience of the people in it, particularly like you said, hey, I wasn't the star, but it felt like I was performing better because I was around the stars. What why do you think that happens? Like, what do you think? What was it like? Let's say you got on that team, like you get there, and at first you think you feel like almost like you're lucky to be there, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I made the varsity team when I was in 8th grade, so that was really overwhelming because my high school was grade 7 through 12, and I wasn't particularly good. I think it was just because of my height, and maybe I was decent at defense, but I was never a big point scorer. But I was always a good team player, and I was always good at like passing, and I was good at like situational knowing, like court awareness, right? So I was more of like probably a bench warmer than anything else. I didn't get a whole lot of playing time, but I was that person at practice that always gave 100% because I saw everybody around me doing so well. I thought to myself, well, if the worst thing that happens is I'm the worst player on the team, but I tried my hardest and I'm able to
Mm,
compete. And if I'm able to compete with these people in a practice environment, I don't really care if I play during the games because this is a great experience for me to be around the best and to learn my skills from the best. And if mine never develop to their level, that's okay. I'm here. I'm with the best. What an amazing environment to have this sports experience with. But like, I got into the best shape of my life. I was confident. I was not afraid to suck at something. Like, you know what? I'm going to try. And if I don't do well, who cares? I'm still here with all these great players. So it's kind of like that expression that says, like, shoot for the moon. The worst that can happen is you land among the stars.
yeah, right.
Kind of how it felt in that environment. And I've always wanted to be around the stars, the best. And I feel like when you say like, how does that happen? What does that feel like? It's almost like you challenge yourself to meet the minimum that bar that people
Yeah,
set in a winning locker room. You don't want to be below the bar. You don't want to be somebody that's not doing what all the other high achievers are doing. And I've always held myself to such a high standard that I know that if I'm around the best, I won't give myself that leeway to achieve anything less.
right, right. I totally get that. It's really, it's something like I think what it's rooted in. Like when I look at the people that win at a high level and that strive to be in those rooms, they are fundamentally curious first. They're curious and they believe that there's something about their capacity that has not yet been realized. There's like I belong here because I have like I belong. You feel like maybe you're lucky to get in the room, but you're like, but I should be in this room.
Yes, or I feel like you work hard enough to the point where you say to yourself, I want to work hard enough so that I feel like I deserve to be in this. I
Yeah, I
might
get
not
that too.
I might not feel that way today, but if I'm surrounded by this energy and I'm surrounded by this type of work ethic, I know in my heart I can work hard enough to feel deserving of this place at some point. So I'm going to bust my tail to get there.
Right, completely get that, totally. How do you think that shows up for people? What do you think, like, what was it in you, in your background, in your history, that gave you that desire, drive, need to perform at that level? And again, you were 3rd in your class, like, some part of you needed to be like there are people that are like, "Yeah, it's fine, like, I'm just gonna graduate." Like, why are you so interested in being among the best?
I think it's been a part of who I am for a very long time. I mean, if we're gonna like really dive deep here and get personal, I think it has a lot to do with losing my dad at 5 years old. I think I was always seeking that other parent or looking for validation in ways that other kids may not. And so school for me is where I thrived. I knew I could do well. I was getting a lot of that of girls, and maybe I felt like, I only had one parent at home, so maybe it felt good to have other adults patting me on the back when I was missing one at home.
Mhm.
So I was always looking for a coach or a teacher or the drama coach or the band or whatever I got into. I was always looking to be a high achiever, not the best always, but I wanted to do well enough to where I felt some sort of praise, maybe. And that's just like a psychological look at it. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but it felt good, and it still feels good to me if I set goals and I achieve them, or if I'm a part of a team and I pull my weight and I do something to contribute positive, or if I make a positive impact in a client's life, a teammate's life, a coworker's life. That is very fulfilling for me, and
Mm.
I think it does stem from losing a parent young in life.
Um, I love the way you articulated that. There's one of the things that I've seen with successful agents is it comes from that same thing that you just described for various different reasons. But at some point in time, you get through that first, couple of years, that first 15 or 20 transactions, and you realize, okay, the doing of this is not really that hard. The doing part isn't that hard, but it's the sort of intricacies and curiosity that keeps us going. Like
Mhm.
the deals themselves are pretty simple,
Yeah.
but I'm always interested in what the next client problem is or the next thing to solve. And I love the experience of going from A to Z.
Yes.
And I've never stopped. I've sold 3,000 houses in my career. I've worked with that many clients, and it never stops to be interesting to me each time I meet someone new, to help navigate them. And even now at this very moment, I'm working with a customer that I find so interesting the way they see things and how they operate and like their own filter for the world. And I think that's one of the things it takes to be a good agent. I
Mhm.
think you've got to have like a people curiosity. You can't just try to knock down deals. Like it doesn't work. I don't know. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think that if you try to get into something like what we do for the money or as a job, you will be strongly disappointed. This is a
Mm,
very people and relationship based business.
yeah.
And if it's not important to you to connect with your client, and it's not important to you to build a lasting relationship, this is probably not the right place for you. There's plenty of careers where that is, fine, right? But what we do is we get real down and nitty gritty with people and real personal with some of the goals they have. And sometimes someone selling a home is not always a happy occasion. It could be a very bittersweet thing for a family selling a home if they're downsizing and they've raised all their kids and they're moving out, or there was an unexpected death in the family or a divorce. We have a lot of different emotional things that we can go through. And sometimes it's really happy. Someone's pregnant and they're expecting their first baby and they need another bedroom. So it's a roller coaster, and we have to be willing to get on that ride with our clients and ride it with them and support them every step of the way. And the empath in me hangs around for that journey. That's what I'm
Mm,
here for. I'm here for that journey. I'm here for the ups, the downs, the happies, the sads, the stress I want to take on for my clients so they can feel taken care of and like we're handling things for them. And each transaction is so different that I know I'm not in the wrong place when I have
Do
those
you
moments. Yeah.
do you think when did you figure that out? When did you figure out that that was what you were in for? Because you couldn't possibly have been experiencing the same level of emotional, the same emotional arc at the Pampered Chef. Like the Pampered Chef, I mean, I would imagine maybe some of the business associates, but like the transactions just not that it's not as meaningful in the sense of like if you buy a bunch of stuff from Pampered Chef, you're not having the same life experience that you are if you buy or sell a home. So when
Yeah.
did you figure out that that was part of your formula?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Doris Christopher, who started the company, and it's a great opportunity for people to make money who feel like they can't leave their home and stuff. So, did I make an impact on people financially when they decided to work with Pampered Chef? Absolutely. People were going on vacations they never dreamed they could go on. People were paying bills they never thought they'd pay off. So, when I had people on my sales team, I really did feel like I was making an impact in their lives in that way. But really, what I was helping people do is save time and money in their kitchens, and that does make an impact on people's budget, but it's very different. A home is a very emotional place to be, and it's not just transactional to buy a house. And I think knowing that I bought two pieces of property prior to becoming a realtor, I knew how I felt in those transactions, and I knew maybe positive or negative what that felt like. And I wanted to make sure that when I was a realtor, I felt like I was helping people, just like I did with Pampered Chef. I felt like I was helping people save time and money in their kitchens, or helping them make an impact on their budget when they joined the company. And the same thing is when I wanted to do real estate, is like, okay, what's the journey here? The journey's going to look different, and every client is going to have its own story. So I
Mhm.
wanted to kind of make sure that that personal touch was there from the beginning, because when you're new, that's all you have is your
Yeah.
connection to people. You don't have years of history to claim you have X transactions under your belt. I didn't have a history to offer people. I had my personality and how caring and nurturing I can be. So I guess the first transaction where I had, shout out to Lisa Carlson. She was my first client ever, and she had to quickly buy a house because she was told by her landlord during the craze of rental properties going up on the market that her landlord was going to be listing the property, and she only had a certain amount of time to move out. So that was my first client. So it was like, okay, well, we have a need, and it's that whole sales mindset: find a need and fill it. So that's where we started, and it's just focused on that one person, one client at a time, and what their need is. So
Now, the thing that I think is interesting, though, because I know how big your heart is and how much you just described it. You effectively, you used the word empath earlier. You effectively take on the client's problem.
yeah.
Any successful agent that's gone through this business knows that there is still an emotional reservoir that each of us can handle, right? And so there's a reality to how much of that can you absorb. How do you handle that? How do you navigate that on your own?
I don't have to handle that on my own. I have a team
Mm,
and have each other. And when there's moments that are highly emotionally charged, or there's a complication, I have a team of experts that I can rely on and say, this is a little intense. What does everybody think we should do here? And we do band together on transactions. I don't feel like I have to navigate anything alone.
mhm.
But for me, I do recharge by spending time with my family. I like to exercise and get my energy out. If anyone knows me, I'm, constantly, just very high strung, I guess you could say.
You've
So,
got you got a battery for sure. Yeah, you got a
yeah,
battery.
but I'm a very extroverted person, so if you don't hear from me from a few days, it's probably because I'm recharging, right? I
Yep.
sometimes need to isolate a little bit to recharge, but I actually live for that emotional support. It is very fulfilling for me. So that it's rare to where I can't handle it. I can pretty much handle anything that life throws at me, and when a client throws something at me, it's like a challenge, and I'll say, "Okay, this is a challenge, but we're going to get through it." So
Mhm.
but I love that I do have a team of very talented, very successful agents that I can lean on and say, what do you guys think? Or have you heard of this experience? Or what would you do in this situation? And it really does make a huge difference for the customer, because we're not just coming at it one sided. We have a lot of different perspective here.
What would you if if you could give yourself advice going back to the first day that you started in the business, what would you tell yourself?
Slow down, just breathe. It's going to be okay. And don't be afraid to lean on others. It's okay if you don't know the answer. It's okay to say you don't know. It's okay to lean on an expert for help. And just keep going, because it gets better. And maybe just be nice to yourself, be a little kind.
Mm, like that. I like that. What was the best piece of advice that you got
When?
when you started in this career? Sorry. Good clarifier.
Yeah.
You're like, when? I
When?
mean, maybe I don't need to. Let's just say in general, because if it's the best piece of advice you ever got, I
Yeah.
want to hear it. What was it?
I actually couldn't possibly put my finger on it because we just got back from Austin and heard from so many people offering so much to
Yeah.
me that my head will explode if I try and think of the best. But I think that the first thing that I adopted because of where we work and the company we work for is that the mindset or whatever it is like just never stop being a student of the game. And this is something you said to me, like in this grand scheme of life, what do we know? We know nothing.
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 Yeah.
So keep
Clueless.
learning, keep growing, keep evolving. And that's like keeping that mindset. Like, I don't really know anything. I need to keep that ball bouncing. I need to
Yeah.
keep shooting those foul shots. I need to keep taking the layups because
It's
I
really it's such an interesting thing that like you really do the minute you decide you know something, what you're really saying is I have nothing else to learn. And so that's like such a fixed they talk, we talk about this in one of our classes, 6 personal perspectives around a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And this idea that you know anything is
right.
actually a fixed mindset. Like there's just and like certainly I'm not professing that we, are challenging, things that are factually true. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm
Mhm.
just saying that like every time I think I've learned the best way to do something, I think I learned something different. I just recently had an epiphany around the business in the last 2 weeks that a fixed position that I had was challenged. And I suddenly, for the first time in 20 years in the business, realized, shit, I think I've been looking at this the wrong way. And it was it's a little bit too complex of a thing to get into here, but like the idea that I could suddenly learn that and realize like, my God, I've actually I had made a decision 20 years ago that this is how it was. And
Mhm.
I've just been sitting on that. And what I've now learned is I think I was wrong, and being wrong was liberating. It was actually enlightening. It was wonderful because I felt like I learned something new. That growth mindset's so powerful.
Well, can I
All right,
comment
so
on that for a second, really
of
quick?
course, yeah,
I think
please.
20 years ago that that was probably a great outlook, and it's just that you've grown. So your mindset now is going to have to evolve for Matt to evolve, right? So the same thing is like what I'm saying is you got to always be a student of the game and willing to grow because at that time it probably served you and it
Yep.
was probably a great way to look at things, but now your mindset has said, I've grown as a person, so therefore my mindset will grow too.
Yeah, there's the old adage that no man or woman shall step in the same river twice because it's not the same man or woman and it's not the same river. And boy, is that ever true, right? As we continue to grow. So, all right. So then the last question I have for you is if you were going to be mentoring a new realtor into the business and they came to you and said, "What should I do first?" What would you tell them?
Um, are they licensed?
Yeah, they're licensed. They haven't started yet. They're getting on their way. I'm a brand new agent, Aaron, and I come to you and say, "What should I do first?"
I would definitely want him to come talk to our team or her come talk to our team. I would like them to see their potential and make a plan and to not go by the seat of their pants. Obviously, like if you want to get technical, database, sphere, contacts, really important at the beginning is to have that basis. But I love that we have the Agent Production Academy for people when they're new. So I would want to welcome someone who really wanted to thrive into real estate to learn what we do and learn the right way so that you don't have to start somewhere and then undo everything you've learned
Mm,
and try and relearn the right way. I mean, we've got people here that really do dissect it and break it down to make it very simple steps. I would never pretend to be an onboarding specialist, but I would love to get a person who's new to an onboarding specialist to
right.
get them started with the right foot forward because that if you can start the right way in real estate, there is nothing that could stop you.
It's so wild, right? Because again, it's not actually that complicated of a business. It really isn't. It's not complicated. It's wildly rewarding and it's very challenging, but it's not complicated. It is really not. So this has been awesome. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed it. And this is part one of 50. So we're gonna do this
Yeah.
49 more times. Okay. So
Awesome.
awesome. Thank you.